This series, The Shock of the New, is about an old subject, almost 100 years old. The art of our own century, modernism.
The most visible sign of the future was the automobile, and this is the first public sculpture ever set up in its praise. It commemorates the great road race of 1895 from Paris to Bordeaux and back, which was won by an engineer named Émile Levasseur in the car that he designed and built himself, the Ponhar Levasseur 5. It could do about the same speed as a jumping frog, but not very much more. Nevertheless, Levasseur's victory was of tremendous social consequence because it persuaded Europeans, both manufacturers and public alike, that the future of road transport lay with the internal combustion engine and not, as many had thought before, with either electricity or steam. In all justice, there ought to be a replica of this thing set up in every oil port from the Persian Gulf to Houston. But if it looks somewhat ludicrous to us as sculpture today, that's because of difficulties between sculpture and the new convention of the machine.
A stone car. The idea seems surrealist to a modern eye. It's simply incongruous. Stone is immobile, mineral, brittle, cold. Cars are fast, metallic, elastic, warm. A human body is warm too, but we don't think of statues as stone men because we're used to the conventions of representing flesh with stone. There were no such conventions for depicting machinery. It was too new.
Futurism was the invention of Filippo Tommaso Marinetti, part lyrical genius and part fascist demagogue, and by his own account, the most modern man in his own country.
When right-minded people between the wars thought of modern artists as subversive buffoons, their image was formed by Marinetti. He was a genius of publicity, and he used every trick to get it for himself and for the futurist painters. Posters, leaflets, demos, meetings. He even invented the happening, montage in real time, with poems and declamations, paintings and music, all on stage at once. He took his roadshow everywhere, even to Russia.
Fiesta Act. Zweiter Akt.
Prendere l'orologio, aprire il giornale.
Dritter Akt.
Marinetti called himself the caffeine of Europe. He was the first international agent provocateur that modern art had. The name Futurism was a brilliant choice, challenging but vague, but the central idea that Marinetti trumpeted forth in the first Futurist manifesto in 1909 was that the machine had created a new class of visionaries, himself and anyone who cared to join him. For Marinetti and his group, all the old ideas about art and artists were about to be blown off the cultural map. You needed to come from a technologically backward country to love the future as passionately as Marinetti did. Machinery was power. It was freedom from historical restraint.
Manifesto of Futurism. 1. We intend to sing the love of danger the habit of energy and fearlessness. We affirm that the world's magnificence has been enriched by a new beauty, the beauty of speed. A racing car whose hood is adorned with great pipes like serpents of explosive breath. A roaring car that seems to run on shrapnel is more beautiful than the victory of Samothrace. We want to hymn the man at the wheel who hurls the lance of his spirit across the earth along the circle of its orbit. But we want no part of it, the past. We, the young and strong futurists. So let them come, the gay incendiaries with charred fingers. Here they are, come on. Set fire to the library shelves. Turn aside the canals to flood the museums. Oh, the joy of seeing the glorious old canvases bobbing adrift on those waters, discolored and shredded. Take up your pickaxes, your axes and hammers, and wreck the venerable cities pitilessly.
In their art, they set out to find an equivalent for the speed and the movement that they worshipped in their cars. They kept issuing manifestos, operatic love letters to industry and hymns to the beauty of its products. The artists who gathered round Marinetti before the First World War were the core of the futurist group, and some of them would soon be dead. The most gifted of them, Umberto Boccioni, fell off his horse and was killed in 1916 in the war which he and Marinetti had praised as the hygiene of civilization. But in the meantime, he had produced some extraordinary images, none more so than The City Rises, his paean of joy to industry and heavy construction, with its straining cables and draft horses and plunging figures. But the problem was how to represent movement. For that, the futurists resorted to photography, especially the sequential photographs published by the French pioneer Etienne Jules Marey. By giving you the successive positions of a figure on one plate, these photos introduced time into space. The body left its own memory in the air. 400 years before, Leonardo had bought birds in the Florentine market and let them go to study the beat of their wings for a few seconds. Now the cameras of Marey and Edward Muybridge could describe this world of unseen movement. Some of Giacomo Balla's paintings were almost transcriptions of their photographs. This one, for instance, is entitled Swifts, Paths of Movement and Dynamic Sequences. Dynamism of a dog on a leash was a glimpse of boulevard life with a fashionable lady, or at any rate her feet, trotting her dachshund, a low-slung modern animal, the sports car of the dog world, along the pavement. Watching a virtuoso's rapid fingers gave Ballard the clue for rhythms of a violinist. As well as movement, they wanted to paint noise. This painting of Boccioni's is called The Noise of the Street Penetrates the House. Futurism loved any noise that was dissonant, loud, or made by a machine. The most ambitious effort to paint equivalents for sound and movement was Gino Severini's picture of a cabaret in Paris where he and the Cubists used to go, the Bal Tabarin. Like them, Severini loved common popular entertainment.